Hey Castor, these are your exchange carburetors. I'm going to send you carburetor number, looks like, what was it saying, 49416. Strange what the light doing. And then I've got 17716. If you can see that here, 17716. Okay. Now then, let's go over a few things. I'll send you instructions on mounting. Make sure we discussed the sleeves that go in here, and I'll send you the wave washers that go between the carburetor and the sleeves to keep the sleeves from digging into the carburetor body. Let's see, we've got these are all fully rebuilt bushings, throttle shafts all new, butterflies are new, all factory gaskets, which you can tell by the red color on the gaskets. The idle mixture screws on the second barrel of each carburetor are blanked off, and I've got a little sealant on there, so you don't need to touch those. They don't do anything. These will be your only adjustments here and here for idle, and then here you can adjust these jam nuts and screws for bringing your choke levers in line. The choke levers pull up like this. As you're trying to pull straight up, these choke levers are trying to describe an arc, and it makes for a very stiff pull on the choke, so make sure your choke cables are well lubed beforehand. I'll give you instructions on setting up the throttle linkage, and be sure to use 2 wrenches on these fittings here. Use a wrench here to hold this fitting, and then you do your tightening on this fitting. Otherwise, you take the chance of ripping this one out of the pot metal body. I'm trying to think what else we need to discuss. That probably is it for the time being. Alright, and then these carburetors are cold. Normal starting procedure is to make sure you've got fuel up to the carburetors, and that's why this priming lever is here. You make sure this thing is working and pumping fuel, and that you may, the customer has to get out and open the hood and do that if the car's been sitting for a while. And then what I do is I will goose the throttle a couple of times and activate the choke. Now understand the choke, this is the main choke, this is the slave here to it, and what you put this, make sure the choke is operating properly. Let me put this on the tripod real quick and see if, okay. Had to go away, get a tool for a minute. So what you want to do is you open the choke like this and actuate. Let's see here, I gotta spin this around. Okay, and then you actuate your choke. Just make sure it's free. That's all. Nothing, no big deal. But a lot of times chokes hang up, and it makes for difficult to work with in terms of the chokes. Retracting. I have this one tied together, so because this one just flops around, and so we can run the engine. And obviously we've got a cold engine, as you can tell by me standing here. So we're going to do an actual cold start, and once we've got fuel up there, then we'll goose it a couple times. I got my switch on, cold choke. It's not bad for sitting for a couple of days. And the one thing you need to notice is that part of the choke mechanism, when I move the choke, I'm actually moving the throttle linkage, and that's where you get your fast idle for when you're choking the engine. And that is a small adjustment back here, and believe it or not, the measurement, the clearance on that is 15 thousandths. It's one of the strangest thing. You have to use feeler gauges on your carburetors, but that's the case. And you don't want to, we don't adjust these carburetors until we've got water temperature. So we've got a cold engine, but even with a cold engine, we got a nice idle. I don't think that tachometer is 100% accurate, but you'll end up having to adjust your carburetors to your engine anyway. But I'm going to show you how to do that. But first, first thing we're going to do is get us some water temperature here. And while we're doing that, this is the tool you want to use for synchronizing the carburetors. It's called a synchrometer, and this is the version that you want, the BK 1-35, and you can pick these up on Amazon, and a lot of other people have them. Just type in synchrometer BK. There you go, it says synchrometer right there. Okay, I'm starting to get some water temp. But even when it's cold, it's got a really nice idle. These are super carburetors. Also notice we're not dripping anything. Really nice. Nothing stupider than putting the auxiliary pump bodies on the bottom of the carburetors where all the gaskets are. Got to get us some water temperature here. There you go, thermostat just opened. Alright, thermostat opened. And we have got some warm carburetors that we can work with. First thing you want to do is disconnect your throttle linkage, because you want to adjust these independently of each other. But make sure that you don't accidentally open the throttle to where you've got a runaway engine. And we're going to use our synchrometer here. For starters, we're going to make sure that our second barrels are closed, because the engine does not idle on our second barrel. And you see that it barely moved over here. Barely moved. We can double check this by putting our thumb on the counterweight right here. Same over here. Alright, so that means we are idling on the first barrel like we're supposed to. Now we're going to synchronize the first barrel for each carburetor, so they're pulling the same amount of air. Well, I've already done this, obviously, that's why it's running so smoothly. So we're at 5.5 and 5.5. But let's say somebody came along and screwed with your adjustments here. Alright, so now we're out of adjustment. That means the engine is fighting itself. So right here we're pulling 7 units of air, and so we don't want that. So we come here. We do our adjustment, and we got no spring on this one, so we have to pull up on our lever just to make sure. So there's 6. There's 5.5. What are we doing over here? Alright, 5.5. That's how easy that is. Now, your idle mixture screw. Excuse me, I'm going to get up here so you can see this better. Alright, idle mixture screw. What you're doing is you're going to screw this in and out until the engine stumbles, and then you find your midpoint. And it doesn't take much because of all the fine machine work that's been done. Starting to degrade right there. Here, chugging. Back it out. Runs really nice there. Starting to degrade again. Find our midpoint right in here. Sounds good. Over here. Now, you're going to have to do this for your own engine because this is going to depend on the condition of your engine and intake and all that sort of thing. Here's our degradation if we go further. Alright, now we don't want to kill the engine. Alright, back to our midpoint approximately. Back out. There you go. It's stumbling, so now we're going to get our midpoint. Wherever it runs the best. Like about there. Now, when they tell you to screw these down and then back them off 1.5 turns, that's your basic setting. That's the same thing for this. You would screw this in, if you're starting from scratch, you'd screw that in 1.5 turns, screw that in 1.5 turns, and then back it out. But you never screw this in and jam it down like you're torquing the lug nuts on a wheel. You just screw this down until it barely touches and back it out 1.5, and then that's your starting point. From there, you do your fine adjustments after the engine is totally warmed up. Alright, now, next up, you are going to want to adjust this turnbuckle so that when you snap it in place, nothing changes. And that's why this is a turnbuckle, so you can adjust this very fine, just tune it right in. Nothing changed. Let's check our settings again. We're at 5.5 approximately. 5.5. And our idle, if you want to do the idle, let's say it's a nice idle right now, but if you want to adjust your idle, then obviously you do these both the same amount. Let's say we want to adjust it up a bit, so we go in here, quarter turn, over here, quarter turn. Let's come back and see if we got how uniform we work. We're almost at 6 here. And almost at 6 there. So that's because obviously there's both the same thread pitch. So if you turn both them the same amount, then they adjust the carburetors the same amount. I'm going to dial this down a little bit. I like a lower idle. Make sure we're still on the. Okay, we're at 5 now. See how that works? We're at 5 now. Excellent. Now, let's see if we got an engine. Return back to our idle. That's a really nice set of carburetors. Now we do a hot start. Tell you what, I am really pleased with those carburetors. So I appreciate your patience, and I thank you very much.